Hello participants, this is Professor S.K. Kak talking to you about technology development as per Unit 3, and we'll be talking about the features and models of technology development and what kind of processes are created as well as operated during the process of technology development. So when we talk in terms of technology development, we have to understand that technology basically starts talking in terms of new products, new techniques, new concepts, or new systems, and new ideas. So technology itself is a goal, but when we try to talk in terms of technology, we also try to understand that it is a very, very complex process. So let's take an example why technology can create revolutions. Whether it is the first industrial revolution occurring in the late 18th century, triggered by the mechanical production and using of water power or steam power, or the second industrial revolution in the late 19th century, created by electrical engineering, electrical motor, electrical generation, electrical transmission, and replacing the water wheel or the steam power with electrical energy. And then that particular thing, because it was more efficient, it was more controllable, it was more omnipresent, and the transportation of this energy was much more efficient, much more easy. Therefore, this spawned a totally new kind of uh, technology. This spawned a totally new kind of revolution. Then we started talking in terms of electronics, and this was the later half of 20th century, because of the invention of transistor, invention of other electronic circuits. So most of these particular things, starting with vacuum tube, converted into solid state electronics. So we had electronics as a controlling environment, because electrical engineering could be very easily controlled by those particular things. So it became the third industrial revolution and spawned the process of long distance communication using voice, for transporting data, for transporting information, and at the same time, it started becoming a very important tool in terms of what we can teach and how we can expand the use of electronics. So you will see at this same time, this also spawned the aviation industry, it also spawned the electronic industry, it also spawned the communication industry, it also spawned the ability to create new paradigms, and that is what made the third industrial revolution the real growth in all the countries where this revolution was started. Then, of course, concurrent with the development of World Wide Web, concurrent internet, and the technology to use that in mobile devices was another revolution which brought in the fourth industrial revolution, and we call it the use of cyber physical systems, cyberspace, and that is basically what gives you the understanding in terms of smartphones, in terms of smart devices. We're talking about smart cities now. So as you see, you progress from 19th century, 18th century to 19th century to 20th century to 21st century. The complexity of technology, the complexity of revolution in terms of use of technologies, widespread use of technology also goes on increasing. So how do we define technology development? It is defined as an overall process of invention, innovation, and diffusion of technology or processes. So the role played has been of creating new knowledge, new products, new services, and this accelerates growth It accelerates economic progress. It accelerates the gross domestic product, and it also accelerates the development in the cultural, social, and political affairs. Now, if we talk in terms of the aspects of technology development, we will understand that we have a basically it is sparked or ignited by an idea, by a research that is developed in some lab or industry, and this R&D creates what is known as the idea of a new product or idea of a new technology, which in turn leads to how through technological development can be converted into making a product. So the startup takes it up, and a startup concern takes it up, and because of that startup, what happens is it gets capital funding, it develops that technology, and that in turn creates the first generation of those products, which are obviously, because it's a premium, it is the first product. So similarly, it will have high prices, it will have lots of uh, demand initially, and as it goes into the population, user acceptances, we get user feedback, and based on that, we start talking in terms of how new particular processes and technologies can be used, and how media takes it into account, and media develops a hype on this new product or new technology. This itself brings in the quality in terms of more number of people wanting to make that product because the demand is high. More people join, more industries join in order to make that product, and mass proliferation, mass expansion of the product happens. But as that happens, we understand that it can bring in a, a, a social reaction, it can bring a technological reaction, and it can bring in cultural reaction. So the negative aspects of the technology and product start coming up. With the result, there is other particular ways in which the product can be made manufactured in cheaper ways, can be manufactured at a lower cost, and therefore the supply demand can be negotiated, and we can create a second or third round of people funding, creating new industries, and thereafter again a new wave of product, a new generation of product is created. So the technology continuously goes on getting upgraded, new products and services become available on that, more features are added, and that is how it continues. But the cycle is not the same at the euphoria in the beginning. We also see that as we develop the technology, particular technology, let's try to talk in terms of any particular technology, that technology in itself demands multiple services from the other end. Say, for instance, we started talking in terms of first industrial revolution, how it started the process of mining, because coal was to be mined, iron ore had to be mined, metallurgy started, smelting started, the iron industry then was converted, the iron was then processed and converted into products, and therefore the manufacturing industry started. So every particular technology develops more and more different technologies, the mining technology, the metallurgy technology, the smelting technology, the technology of manufacturing, and the process technology. So one small technology can lead to multiple technologies, and this is how it creates a revolution. And as that revolution brings out products, those products itself are under a continuous improvement process, and therefore continuous process evolution takes place, process development takes place, and this is the most important feature of technology development. That means it brings in new products, it brings in new processes, it makes things more competitive, and at the same time, this technological development process uh, creates a new historical push in terms of economy, more purchasing power, more employment, more jobs, and that is in terms creating more demands. And the process of technology development gets converted into a new generation of products, and that has its own role and impact on the society, on the culture of the society, and on the growth and economic development of the society. But it also simultaneously brings in various challenges. So the challenges are what happens to the because of the mining industry, what happens because of the toxic substances that are created while the technology is produced, what happens to the people socially which are not able to purchase it because they are deprived of that technology. So it creates a gap between the society, between those who have and those who have not. So these are the challenges of technology development, and the most important challenge is the challenge of climate development and impact on the climate, ecological damage, and what we are seeing together today is that the massive amount of energy consumption is leading to climate uh, change. So we are now talking about what are the different processes, technology development processes that have evolved over a period of time. These technology development processes are basically those which have been developed in the industry, those which have been developed in the academia, and those which have been developed by different industries in a different manner. We will understand that the technology development process in itself is so complex. But why is it so complex? It is complex because of five important processes that it has to integrate. The first process is the process of material, how material will be available, what kind of material is needed, what should be the property of those materials. So the material process is the one particular aspect. Then how that material can be converted in manufactured, can be processed, and therefore the manufacturing process is the second part. And besides the technology, what kind of product will be made, what will be its features, what will be its standards, what will be its specifications, and how that particular product will sell in the market, nobody really knows when the initial product is being developed. Therefore, it has to talk in terms of the business model process. And the fourth process that it responds is that the manufacturing itself, as you remember, that the what's known as flexible manufacturing today, or initially was given as a manufacturing on the assembly line, or before that the individual thing was manufactured. So mass production, starting with individual product manufacturing, then the assembly line manufacturing, and today the flexible manufacturing, and today using the 3D manufacturing. So the manufacturing process and the technology development in order to integrate these particular processes, and then the logistics, the model using logistic models, how the product which is manufactured will be uh, distributed in the marketplace, how its price will be controlled, how it will be absorbed in different cultures all over the world, and therefore how its demand can be met. So these are six different processes that the technology development process has to think about, and the risk attained, because massive investment goes into each product development and technology development. So in order to protect that, these models have to go through a very tight assessment process. They have to go through continuous review process. They have to go through continuous business accountability process, and they have to go through convincing the financiers who are funding these particular projects as to how they can really lead to this uh, uh, a competitive product, a profitable product, and a product which will sell in the marketplace. So this is basically what starts these technological development, and starting from earlier 20th century and going right up to the 21st century beginning, we have various models that have been created, but we are going to list out here only 12 models: the technology realization and commercial model, holistic front-end model, Axon research model, technology development knowledge building, total technology development model, new concept development model, technology search gate, global enterprise technology system, technology stage gate, and technology acquisition stage, theoretical model of technology development process, and big industry. So we are trying to talk in terms of these different development. So as we said, we are going to talk in terms of technology development models, but we must understand three important aspects. Most of these technology development models have multiple model bases, and therefore some of them are process models, some of them are business models, some of them are technology models, some of them are material models, and some of them are manufacturing models, and some of them are models that have a combination of all these. The more important thing is that each of these models is so complex, is so risk involved, so much of risk involved, and has to contain all the supply chain issues, has to contain all the product specification issues, has to contain all the market details, market surveys, and has to convey into them the kind of specifications and other particular things that are required in order to develop that product. We can take multiple of majority of these particular technology development models are not suited to every technology development. The technology development needed to design and create an aircraft is different from the technology and development process needed for developing a smartphone. Similarly, a technology development needed to develop a software, and the technology development needed in order to create a product which is like a spacecraft are totally different. Therefore, these particular demands on the technology development models are also varied, are also multidisciplinary, are also multi-domain, and need specialists of each and every domain. And how to bring them together, how to make them work together, and how, therefore, to create a process is the major aspect of each of these technology development models. So when we try to talk in terms of which are the filtered technology development models which have the relevance today, we'll try to talk in terms of how each one of them relates to a sort of a product stream. Then we talk in terms of the theoretical technology development model, process model. We try to talk about technology realization and commercialization model, which has obviously both the technology aspect and the commercial aspects, and takes care of them together so as to realize a product which has high profitability in the marketplace. Then the technology stage gate is a process that has evolved most importantly in terms of why and how different manufacturing processes can be integrated, and how different supply chains can be arranged so that the product, as it comes out, as the technology process is developed, it can create a more efficient, a more reliable, and a more standard product. We must understand that technology development basically has to issue all these 7 parameters. It has to produce a reliable product, it has to produce a cheaper product, it has to produce a standardized product which is same in all qualities across this thing across the globe, and it has simultaneous to lower its cost, and it has to have the same ability to go through various climatic, various user requirements and various specification requirements. And finally, it has to have the capability that it can be transported. It has to have the capability that it can be used by a simple process. So the ergonomic design, the design in terms of product is also very important. So then the global enterprise technology system tries to talk in terms of various aspects, how we can start talking in terms of the petroleum product design, how a refinery is designed, and how this particular refinery uh, takes up crude petroleum and converts it into various distillates, so that the maximization of use and maximization of products is possible according to the demand in the marketplace. Then the front-end development model is a unique model in terms of what it can create in order to have the idea converted into a technology, which is the most challenging aspect. Which particular idea can really get converted into a product is the front-end development model, and this is probably one of the most important aspects of this thing. Then there is technology as well. There's a requirement in the marketplace. The market survey and the market assessment tells you that there is a requirement for a product. Now, how do you assess a particular technology that it will be able to deliver that kind of a product? Let's take an example of a high-end smartphone. Now, we know what are the current smartphones available in the marketplace. We know what are their qualities, what are their specifications, how users use them, what are the user comments, how users are able to which particular specifications are more suitable to the users, and which end users are this thing. So how we can create different specifications and different this thing. So that is basically then how do you acquire the camera technology, how do you acquire the technology, integrated circuit technology, how do you integrate the fabrication technology, how do you integrate what kind of screen it has, and so on and so forth. So these technology acquisitions are multiple dimensionals and have a complexity, and how then to integrate them is another particular thing. So the holistic front-end model tries to convert these all particular things. And finally, today there is no product which is only hardware based. Most of them are also software based. So what are the partitions in terms of hardware and software? What parts can be assembled? Parts can be created in the form of a software routine? What can be converted into a hardware routine, so that the price optimization takes place, the speed optimization takes place, the product optimization takes place, and the product flexibility remains at the top. So these are the aspects which we are going to talk in terms of the different technology models.